Artmin. So once you've done a piece of fiber art, you want to mount it so that you can frame it, hang it on a wall, enjoy it. This is the way that I finish a lot of my pieces, and it's also how you would make a canvas if you wanted to paint, or if you have a painting that's already on fabric or canvas that isn't mounted, this is how you stretch your work. First of all, you'll need stretcher bars. Stretcher bars come in all different sizes. They're marked, so these are 9-inch stretcher bars, and you get the sizes appropriate for whatever it is that you're going to do. They're tongue and groove, see that? They just fit right together. You just wiggle them together. And there's a lip on one side, so you want the lip all facing in the same direction. So does everybody see that lip there? And they fit, once they're together, they start to make a frame. So you can get the rest of your frame together. You want to hold, you can put them in a windowsill if you don't have something to make sure that you have true 90-degree angles. But you want to make sure that they're angled properly. Don't glue them. You may need to unstretch it or spread the stretcher bars later on down the road. So you don't want to glue these together. They just need to be fit, and once it's stretched, they'll hold together perfectly. Let me show you the rest of the process. So here I have a much bigger frame because I have a bigger piece of fabric. This is a piece that I marbled on, and so now what I'm going to do is stretch it. So my stretcher bars are together now, and I want to just make sure that I'm at a 90-degree angle all the way around. So I like where this is now. This is the way that I want my image. And I have just enough fabric on both sides to wrap around, but a little bit too much on this side and this side. So we're going to crop. So I want it to fully wrap around the stretcher bar. That gives me enough room to grab my fabric. So I'm going to put it there, and that's where I want to cut it. I don't have to be precise about this cut at all. I just need to get rid of the extra. The stretcher bars I mentioned have this lip on them, and that lip goes against, on the inside, against the back of your image. So that elevates the canvas from the stretcher bar, most especially if it's something that you're going to paint on. It keeps it away from the stretcher bar so you don't get this weird mark while you're painting. So I'm going to turn my picture or piece of art face down. Make sure you're working on a clean surface if it's pre-painted work so that you don't get things that you don't want onto your painting. And I'm going to kind of reline it up. Now I know you're doing this blindly at this point. So to make a little test run, what I'm going to do is take these little pins here, and I'm just going to pin the center on all 4 sides. This just needs to hold it for a second, so I'm not worried about getting them all the way in. I'm just worried about it holding for just a sec. Okay, so now that I've done that, it's okay if everything's loose, but I can flip it over and see how I have my image arranged. So at this point, this is a good time to check and see if things are crooked, if you've cropped something you didn't want to crop, that your image is going fully around the edges, all of those good little things that you really want to watch out for when you're stretching a canvas. And I like the way this looks, so I'm going to flip it back around and we'll start the stretching process. So I'm going to pull it taut and staple it right in the center at an angle. I don't want it to be flat. I want it to be at an angle, like a 45-degree angle. All right. So your stretch order for your staples will be one end, then you do the opposite side. Then you do this side and the opposite side. And then you're going to evenly start working out. So let me show you. So I'm going over to this side now. Again, 45-degree angle. Every time I put a staple in, I want to pull my fabric so that it's taut. The first few staples are important to really make sure that you get this tautness down. Great. If you're working on a pre-painted canvas, something that has acrylic or oil on it, be careful that you don't pull the canvas so tight that it cracks the dried paint. You want it to be tight, but you don't want to overstretch. So I'm evenly working all the way around. I'm going to go back to my starting point now, and I'm going to staple on either side a few inches out. Over to my opposite side. Get a nice pull on that. There's a lot of play in that one, so I want to get a good pull. Couple inches out. And I've run out of staples. Womp womp. Another good thing to have handy is a hammer or a mallet. Mallets are a little bit softer, but if you have a staple that doesn't go all the way in, now if it's super loose, go ahead and take it out and put another one in. But if it gets most of the way but still has kind of a bump, you can use a hammer to get it the rest of the way in. So I'm going to reload this with staples and continue what I'm doing. These sides are longer, so they will require more staples. Once I get close to the corners on these shorter ends, I'm going to stop because I want to save the corners for last for one final tuck to really make sure it's all stretched. Now, once you've gotten to the corners, it's simply about tucking them in like you would a gift. So I'm going to fold my canvas or fabric just over to the side and bring it up just like a gift. So you're tucking the edges. You'll have this little edge here. And when you have an edge like that, you want them to match. So this one I'm going to fold over this way, so that corner that folds over will fold over in the same direction. This one is also where you give a little bit of a pull when you pull the fabric over, just to make sure that everything is nice and tight. If you have folded fabric in here, you can just staple it down. This is why you don't want too much fabric. Now, I have extra fabric, so I need to tuck this too, so that it's not in the way. I've got my fold. There we go. This one I'm going to tuck as well. I'm going to push in on this side and pull over this way. It's going to create that nice little triangle. Make sure I have a good pull on it so everything is tight. The corners will require multiple staples just to make sure that they're all sturdy. So this is my new work that I can go hang on a wall.